If somebody that is not used to the tradition of your party gets pronounced as the chairman by the Court of Appeal, and that situation has gone into a higher appeal, which is in the Supreme Court, you won't go out of your way if you're a disciplined party member to just say, oh, we won't care, we don't give a damn about him. No, you have to give a damn about him because the court says you shouldn't give a damn. But what we are saying as stakeholders in this party is that there is a tradition, there's a way we behave. You can't walk out on Jonathan. Jonathan is our alter ego. Jonathan is on his goodwill that we're pumping the party. The people, Twitter handles reflects it, Facebook reflects it, international community reflects it. You can't walk out of our brand. You're going to end up getting smoked.
So perhaps, there is an issue with that. But then, you talked about how he doesn't understand your party. This man didn't just emerge.
Yeah.
Your party appointed him caretaker chairman before any other thing.
The greatest mistake they ever made.
But they did.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm alluding to you. Those who did know they've made the greatest mistake. Look, the greatest speech that was given yesterday at that meeting was by Senator, the former chairman, Senator Modu Ali. You know what he said? He said, we must accept that we have put ourselves into a difficult situation, for strangers have taken over our party. Let me tell you something. We're not in government. We're going to still come back and tell Nigerians, this is our policy and all that. And so there are other important things we should worry about. But there is a tradition. That's what makes us who we are. We are People's Democratic Party of Nigeria. We're not a people that scheme unduly. We're not a people that are needlessly combative with the not a people works out on our chairman,
let me ask
on our former president.
More specifically now.
Yes.
You say that Ali Modu Sheriff was scheduled to speak immediately after the former president was, had spoken.
That was the plan.
Now, you said he came so late that the BOT chairman had to speak next. So, precisely at what time did he come in?
He came in just as the BOT chairman was rounding up. As a matter of fact, when he came in, because the seat he took was the one that was for the BOT chairman, and the BOT chairman was made to move for him because the BOT chairman just about rounded up. The next thing that was meant to happen was that he was not supposed to go and speak.
Yeah.
And then they had already taken a decision that after the BOT chairman spoke, the media would leave, so that when the invective starts flying, all of it is not captured by the media, whatever that means. But he then didn't like that. And then he also then wanted a situation where maybe they took out a trumpet and started to blow a big siren. Here comes the chairman. Who does that in the crisis management situation?
So perhaps you're making these assumptions, because what he said was that he was to speak and that, they told him he was not going to be addressed as the chairman of the party.
See, he was to speak critical information. Has he been called to speak? How would they have addressed him? They would have just called him, oh, some dude that came in. No, they would have found a way to address him in a manner that signifies his position.
They were going to address him in every other manner, but the manner in which the court had approved that, he was the chairman of the party?
It's not, we were not in court that day. We were in a crisis management, reconciliation, event building situation. And there were people there that had their nerves also equally frayed. They were only trying to manage it. He was just hasty and maybe a tad arrogant.
So what? Until that was resolved in the court, shouldn't that at least be given to him?
He hadn't allowed he had not allowed himself to be invited. He's just assuming they won't have invited him properly. And every rational, reasonable explanation telling him that, look, the only reason why you are even having this conversation is you came in. If you didn't come late, after President Jonathan spoke, you would have spoken, and that would have explained the pecking order. But he didn't. He came late, and he didn't wait to be invited.
Was the quarrel over the pecking order? Because I'm a little confused over what the quarrel precisely was on. You say that he came just as the national BOT chairman was rounding off his speech. So it will be assumed that he went straight to his seat to sit, and then he will be invited.
Absolutely.
At what point did the quarrel come in?
Fantastic. From what we could observe, it was after it was a seat, and then it was like they were now whispering by the side, and it was time for him to be invited. And the next thing we saw was that there was this, and all of this body language, and everybody was sitting in the gallery and wondering what's going on here. He's supposed, and then when it lasted longer than it should have lasted, they took themselves into another corner to go resolve it outside the main plenary, and it took them like 2 hours. And every party member expected that they will all come back together, and everybody came except Ali Modu Sharif.
So you were not privy to what happened within that?
Nobody could have been exactly
area.
privy. But what I'm trying to say to you, Mark, which I need you to understand, is that he hadn't been called. He could have waited. If they had called him and they didn't address him properly, then he would have been justified. So he didn't wait.
What next? Because if they left...
I think that what is next is what the former president has said. And listen, PDP members all across Nigeria and our lovers all over, persuade these people and talk to them in the language they understand. Nobody is interested in this. The former president himself is not that interested in this. He's only interested in one thing. He considers that it is his responsibility to figure out a way to bring everybody to calm down. And if they all calm down, then they can do the next thing they need to do with the party.
Can this problem be solved?
I think that the way it's looking, especially listening to Cairo, Ojugo, it seems as if we may have no alternative but to wait for the Supreme Court. But in the meantime, the former president has said they're going to set up some big committee and let nobody come and start talking about this thing. We have a tradition here. If former President Olusegun Obasanjo were to say he's returned back to the party today and he calls a meeting, all of us will go. Even if he bangs the table, we'll still sit in there and listen, because there's a tradition here. If you don't have tradition, you won't be able to differentiate between the Biro man and the Abeokuta man. Everybody will just appear the same. It is tradition and the style and the way of doing things that makes one people differentiate themselves from the other. We're not APC, where everybody just throws chairs and the Senate is not listening to the president. The president not listening.
We have to calm down too. We have to calm down. Your party risks implosion going by this.
We can never implode. We can never implode. Let me tell you what will happen. What we're hoping will happen is that one way or the other, the Supreme Court will make a decision. If the Supreme Court makes a decision and says, okay, this is the status quo, this is the final, then this is where Sharif needs to see. It's possible that the Supreme Court may still validate him.
When is that judgment?
I don't know. That's for the Supreme Court to hurry up, because democracy is at risk here. PDP is the only political party that can deliver opposition work for now, and the Supreme Court needs to deliver one way or the other. If the Supreme Court says Ali Modu Sharif is the chairman, Ali Modu Sharif will still have to figure out a way to bring everybody on board. So where my issue with him, I don't have anything personal, is that I'm just expecting that Ali Modu Sharif should understand that, hey, here I am. I'm handling this hot potato. What's the best way to handle it in such a way that I can get the larger number of members of the party?
2019 is close by.
What is the APC doing that anybody will be hoping to go and vote for APC in the next
2019
election?
Is close by.
PDP will be available.
Your party will have to fix its issues. If not, you may not get the results that you need.
If we don't have too many issues, we are united on the fact that we want to form government going forward. We are united on the fact that our party must set itself at the top. The party doesn't have any business, any main problem at the base. We don't have local government issues. We don't have ward issues. We don't even have state issues. We only have a humongous national working committee chairmanship issue, and that will be resolved one way or the other. But essentially, what Nigerians must know, all the things they're seeing now is normal in a well-vegetating human organization that is a political party. There are usually contending interests. And when those interests get to the top and get to the fore and nobody can call anybody, it is the responsibility of their utter egos, people like President Jonathan, to call them. And when he calls them, they better be at their best behavior and listen.
So in the meantime, is the party or leadership or any of the elders going to reach out, or have they reached out
set up
to
a committee?
Ali Modu Sharif?
The former president has said they're going to set up a committee that is a little bit not too large, maybe about 40 of them.
To those that walked out?
No, including everybody. He will chair if he's available. If he's not, the former vice president Adi Sambo will chair. Otherwise, Senator David Mark will chair. And then they will have 6 from Ali Modu Sharif, 6 from the other side, and they will have some governors there. And all. Listen, all of this is just to figure out whether Africans are capable of managing crisis. It's just that. If they're not capable of managing crisis, obviously the Niger electorate are watching them. And like I always say, when we get to the point where we're saying, okay, this can't be managed again, this is what it is, those who can't live with it will have to ship out.
All right, Mr. Segun Sowunmi is a member of the PDP. Thank you for coming on this morning. We'll be back in a moment and switch our focus to another matter entirely. To join us again.